Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 12 of the Avengers, written by Jed MacKay. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. So with that said, this issue opens up in the Impossible City with Tony Stark meeting with the rest of the Avengers. And in attendance, it was Captain America, Vision, Wanda, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, and Thor. And during this conversation, Tony tells them they knew how Orchis crushed Krakoa and scattered all the mutants. They knew how Orchis cozy up with the Earth's government and made themselves look like the good guys. They knew how Tony actually begged them all to let him take point on this mission, for he wanted them to stay in their hands and let him work with the mutants to get all of their ducks in a row. They knew how Orchis stole all of his technology to build the Sentinels. They knew how he asked them to wait for his word, to wait until he said it was time before the Avengers punched back. Well, all the ducks are now in a row and Tony is saying it now so all can hear him loud and clear. It is time. And on the next page, the Avengers crash on the scene and completely destroy Orchis's automated Sentinel factory complex in Alaska. Now following that, we see MODOK having an argument with 3D Man. And during this argument, 3D Man reminds him that he told him that the Avengers were not going to take this operation lying down. But MODOK originally said 3D Man's old team was insignificant. But in MODOK's defense, the Avengers were nothing in comparison to Krakoa, for Krakoa was a nation, and they were able to break them, while the Avengers aren't even a rogue state. But that is when 3D Man claps back by saying the Avengers just totaled a Sentinel factory complex in Alaska in less than 20 minutes. So with that said, 3D Man reiterate that they hired him because he can see things that no one else can. For he can see danger hidden in plain sight, because long ago he saw the Skrulls, and then he saw the mutants, and now he's telling them the Avengers are dangerous. Now following that, we see the Avengers flying over Canada airspace talking about their next target. And during their conversation, Vision says their operation hinges on them moving too quickly for Orchis to effectively respond, which means their attacks have to be lightning fast. So with that said, we jump over to Avengers target number 2, which is an Orchis mutant re-education center in Oklahoma. And when we get there, we see how all their computers are hacked by the Black Panther. And before they could react, the Black Panther entered the command room and took them all out. So with that fight over, the Black Panther had complete control over the detention center systems. And while he had that power, he disabled the prisoners' control collars. So with the mutants free, the Black Panther went over the intercom to tell the mutants that the Avengers had taken control of the facility and he wanted them to prepare for evacuation by teleportation. Now, with the news delivered, the Orchis guards were not about to let them go without a fight. So right before they was able to open fire, Captain America's shield came flying into the room, knocking them all off their feet. So as the battle carried on, Wanda and Captain America put in work as the Black Panther arrived on the scene and joined the battle. So with the battle over, on the next page, we see all the mutant prisoners walking out of portals and onto the Avengers' Impossible City. So with the mutants free, one of the prisoners informs Vision that he has to go back and help the Avengers on site because there are only 3 of them. Now these 3 was more than enough for this re-education center because Captain America, Wanda, and the Black Panther were up for the fight. So with those 3 doing their thing, we transition back to 3D Man continuing to talk to MODOK. And one of the things he brings up is how the re-educating center was just taken down. So with yet another loss under Orchis's belt, MODOK asks 3D Man what does he believes the Avengers' next move is going to be. Now 3D Man reminds him that he does not see the future, but instead he analyzes data. And by doing that, he could predict what people are thinking. Now in the beginning they thought the Avengers were just hiding, but that wasn't what they were actually doing. For they were actually planning, and with the Impossible City under the control of the Avengers, they chose not to use it as a refuge, but instead as a weapon. A weapon that was dangling over Orchis's head. And its blade is very, very sharp, but one that can easily be blunted because they knew they could only get one shot at this, and if they took it at the wrong time, then they would have wasted the opportunity. So with that established, we transition to Avengers target number 4, which is an Orchis data core farm in Minnesota. And while they are there, they are completely running through the Sentinels, as if they are nothing. For the might of the Avengers was entirely too much for them. And on the next page, we see Thor eradicate the data core farm with a gigantic thunderstrike. So with yet another base destroyed, 3D Man comes to the conclusion that the only way they know where to strike is because of the Black Panther. Because the Black Panther has a kingdom with unlimited operatives raised since birth to destroy nations from the inside out if Wakanda required it. So with that explanation given, MODOK asks if he thinks so highly of the Avengers, then what is he doing here? In which he responds by saying the reason why he is here is because the Avengers weren't happy that he killed many Skrulls during the Skrull invasion. So with that established, we transition to the Impossible City, with Captain Marvel arriving back at their HQ, and when we get there, we see Una talking to the city, and during their conversation, Una is saying how she is happy that the Avengers are finally fighting Orchis. But with the Earth's mightiest heroes entering the fight, Una then goes on to ask how long until Orchis comes after the Impossible City. So with that question asked, we transition over to Wanda continuing to destroy the Orchis soldiers at their sixth target, the Mutant Re-Education Center, located in Louisiana. And see, she wasn't alone, for the Black Panther and Captain America was also doing their thing. So with yet another base destroyed, 3D Man states that they're destroying critical operational infrastructure and freeing potential hostages, which would limit Orchis's leverage. And all the while, the Impossible City has been shooting down every orbital asset Orchis has within visual range. And the reason why they were able to pull this off is not just because of the Black Panther resources, but also because each of them has their own assets they bring to the table. For example, Thor is ancient, and because he is ancient, he must have fought in thousands of campaigns. Iron Man is a seasonal corporate raider, Captain Marvel and Captain America has military minds, Vision has a computer for a brain, and finally, they have the Scarlet Witch, which has power over chaos magic. And with their combined abilities, they are systematically removing Orchis's ability to wage war at a fantastic speed. And to top everything off, they have a teleporting capacity that Orchis is unable to interrupt. So with the Avengers completely running the show, 3D Man states that he would need free range in order to retaliate against the Avengers. So with that chilling realization, on the next page we see the heroes just mentioned destroying yet another target. Now this target is Orchis's long-range communication hub, and just like every base before it, it went down without a problem. But just as the Avengers were taking everyone out, we transition back to the city, where we see Una saying they have to get back now because they're out of time, because they thought if they could hit Orchis fast enough, then they'd never catch them. But they were wrong because Orchis doesn't have to catch the Avengers, instead, all they need to do is catch the city. Now with that established, on the very last page, we see an army of Stark Sentinels heading straight toward the Impossible City at full speed, ready to fight back. So with that said, this issue number 12 of the Avengers comes to an end. So with that out there, if you want to stay in the loop about any individual storyline, then how about you hop over to the playlist section down below or in the link cards above to get all caught up on the X-Men runs. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.